Have you met Lady Sophia from House Perez? If not, then you ought to, for she is a young lady of charisma and courtesy.
Hello there.
Greetings, my dear guest, and welcome to today's book talk. Today, we're going to talk about a famous Shakespeare play. And no, it's not Romeo and Juliet. Today, we're going to talk about Macbeth, a famous tragedy play written in the 16th century. What's the first thing that comes into your mind when you hear Shakespeare? I compare thee to a summer's day. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Tariata, there's something else. This bond that give thee here, no jot of blood. The words expressly are a pound of flesh. Thee, thou, thy, art. I'm sure we can all agree to that. So, before we proceed into talking about Macbeth, let's first get to know Shakespeare a little more. William Shakespeare, the most influential writer in all of English literature, is born in Stratford-upon, England. Although his actual birth date is uncertain, most scholars believe that he was born on or near April 23, 1564. His works are rich in metaphors and vivid images. They are mostly about life, love, grief, jealousy, revenge, mystery, murder, and death. Shakespeare read a lot and took inspiration from everything he read. Shakespeare's shortest and bloodiest tragedy, Macbeth, is heavily inspired by Holinshed's Chronicles, a popular history well known to Shakespeare and his contemporaries. Just as Shakespeare borrowed ideas from others, many modern films borrow ideas from Shakespeare. Let's move on to the characters of Macbeth. The war against rebel MacDonald's army and the invading army from Norway, who was being helped by the traitorous Thane of Cawdor, was won and bested by the brave Macbeth and Banquo. In a stormy travel to King Duncan's army, Macbeth is greeted by 3 witches and prophesies that he will be king, as well as Banquo's descendants. Upon reuniting with his wife, Macbeth excitingly tells Lady Macbeth about what happened. She convinces him to kill Duncan. When she hears that Duncan is coming to their home for a visit, she asks help from evil spirits. Eek! You'll definitely see her character in this scene. It's time to roll the red carpet as Duncan arrives in Inverness, the home of Macbeth and his lady. And bring out some popcorn if you can, because you'll see another level of plastikan in the following scenes.
All our service in every point, twice done and then done double. We're poor and single business to contend against those honors deep and broad, wherewith your majesty loads our house.
Where is the Thane of Cawdor?
Macduff was the first one to discover the king's bloody death and cries out so loud that he wakes up the whole castle, including Lady Macbeth, who was pretending to be shocked. Meanwhile, a horrified Malcolm and Donalbain make plans to flee Scotland. Macbeth was crowned king unopposed. However, haunted by the murder and worries about Banquo's descendants' prophecy, he sends 3 murders to kill Banquo and his son Fleance. Macbeth seeks to see the 3 witches again, and in their meeting, they tell him 3 key things. Keep an eye on Macduff. You won't face any harm from anyone born of woman. He won't be conquered until trees of Birnam Wood start walking. Meanwhile, Macduff and Malcolm rise an army with the help of English forces. Learning of this, Macbeth sends murders to kill Macduff's family. Lady Macbeth suffers with hallucinations and can't live with her guilt anymore. Therefore, she commits suicide. The news was brought to Macbeth by Satan, the chief servant of Macbeth after his four thanes abandoned him. Outside the palace gates, the trees of Birnam Wood start walking. Macbeth vows to fight to the death. Macduff and Macbeth gets a one-on-one confrontation. Macbeth confidently confronts Macduff until he reveals that he was born through cesarean. The two fights until Macduff kills Macbeth, chops off his head, and presents it to the new King of Scotland, Malcolm, who vows to restore justice to the kingdom. Because of so much research, me reading, watching so many summaries, I didn't expect to feel anything after reading the whole and actual script of the play. I didn't expect to feel anything special, to feel the roller coaster of emotions, and that expressions like, "Oh, that's such a nice story. I'ma put this in my Instagram or FB my day." I didn't expect that, but I felt it. Reading the Tragedy of Macbeth is such a nice experience. Shakespeare wrote the script really well. There's so many similes, metaphors, apostrophes, exaggeration. It was full of exaggeration, but it was good enough for the audience of a stage play to really get into the mood of the story. The King of Norway and his terrifying large army, assisted by the traitorous Thane of Cawdor, started a dreadful battle. But then Macbeth, as if he were worthy of marrying the goddess of war, put on his trusty armor and matched the King of Norway in every way. He broke his spirit, and so the victory went to us. You see, the heavens are threatening us because they are outraged by what's happening here on earth. Just like how Donatello bravely presented his David to Cosimo de' Medici, I think that Shakespeare was brave to present the tragedy of Macbeth to his sovereign. It is because he bravely shed light to the dark side of rulers, such as abuse of power. I believe that one wrong move could have gotten him a death sentence. Do I recommend it? If you're like me who's into tragedy, war, themes of triumph over evil, of good and ambition, then yes, I do suggest you give it a try. I finished reading it in 3 days. However, you can finish it in just 1 day because of how short it is. P.S. When Duncan calls Macbeth cousin, and when Malcolm calls his army cousins, they're not literally related, okay? I got confused too, but apparently in Shakespeare, cousin is used to call a close friend, whether blood related or not. You can compare this to our sis and bro of this generation. Oh, one last thing. Did you notice that Satan's name? Yes, that attendant of Macbeth that did not leave him after his four thanes leave him rhymes with Satan? According to the website I read, it might not be a coincidence. Oh, Shakespeare. It's so cool and terrifying at the same time. Bye! Take 3, take 1, 2, 3. Shake! Oh my gosh, my boot! I think I broke it. Oh, diba? Arte. Day 1 pa lang si Rana. Pa! Arte!